You hear the buzzing before you see it, a low, steady hum bouncing off tile and glass, and then there it is, circling your bathroom window or hovering near the sink, a fuzzy golden brown insect that looks, at a glance, exactly like an ordinary honeybee that somehow wandered in and lost its way. Most people's instinct in this exact moment follows one of two paths. Either a flicker of panic at the thought of a sting in such a small, enclosed space, or a moment of gentle sympathy for a poor, confused bee that accidentally flew through an open window and now can't find its way back outside. Both reactions are based on a mistaken premise. What's buzzing around your bathroom is not a bee at all, and considerably more surprising, she isn't lost, confused, or trapped by accident in the way you'd assume. In a genuinely significant number of cases, she came into your bathroom specifically searching for something. And the fact that your bathroom is exactly where she ended up is not a coincidence at all. Today, we're going to reveal exactly what this insect actually is, why she resembles a bee so closely despite being something else entirely, and what she's actually searching for in a room most people would never guess held any appeal to her at all. The insect buzzing around your bathroom is, in the overwhelming majority of cases, matching this exact description. Most commonly a species in the genus Eristalis, part of the Hoverfly family Syrphidae, a genuinely enormous and widespread flies that includes numerous specifically evolved to closely resemble wasps, a mimicry strategy discussed in a related context in the earlier video on this channel covering bee flies. Though drone flies represent an entirely separate lineage, pursuing a strikingly similar evolutionary strategy through a different mimicry approach. The resemblance to a honeybee specifically is remarkably precise in many drone fly species, extending to overall body size and a similar golden brown and black coloring pattern, precise enough that even experienced observers sometimes require close inspection to confirm identification with full confidence. But as covered in the earlier bee fly video, the same reliable distinguishing features apply here as well. Drone flies, as true flies, possess only 2 wings rather than the 4 wings any actual bee displays, and lack the narrow, distinctly pinched waist visible on bees and wasps, instead showing the more continuous, rounded body shape typical of flies generally. There's an additional distinguishing feature to drone flies worth knowing, one connected to their name. Male drone large, closely spaced compound eyes that nearly meet at the top of the head, a feature shared with actual male honeybee drones, the reproductive within a honeybee colony, and the specific physical resemblance responsible for this fly's first place, since early observers, noticing the close eye placement that of a male honeybee drone specifically, mimic accordingly. Long before the taxonomic relationship between true bees was as well understood as it is today. This is where the story moves the identification into the more generally video's title. Unlike a genuinely lost insect that accident with no particular destination in mind, an adult female drone from deliberate, targeted searching behavior, drawn by paths your bathroom in a way most other rooms in your quickly don't. It's necessary to look at where drone flies eyes and more specifically, what environment developed to develop successfully since adult behavior across the insect world. As covered extensively in this channel discussing wasp nest construction to bee fly host searching is locating suitable sites for exactly this purpose. Drone fly larvae have earned a genuinely distinctive, and to most people entirely unknown, common name entomologists, rat-tailed maggots. While admittedly unglamorous, refers accurately to their most striking physical feature, a long, retractable breathing tube extending from the rear of their body, functionally as a built-in snorkel that remains submerged in stagnant, oxygen-poor water while still accessing air at the surface of its extended tube, a genuinely remarkable physical adaptation for an insect larva. This breathing tube adaptation exists specifically because drone fly larvae develop in exactly the kind of environment that adaptation is built for. Stagnant, nutrient-rich water, often found in decomposing organic matter, blocked or slow-draining ditches, livestock water troughs, and critically for the purposes of this video, the standing water and organic residue that can accumulate within household drains, particularly bathroom drains, when they aren't regularly and thoroughly cleaned. The larvae feed on the organic material and microorganisms present in this kind of stagnant, nutrient-rich water, developing through their larval stage entirely submerged, relying on that distinctive breathing tube to survive in an oxygen-poor environment that would be lethal to most other insect larvae. This single detail explains, considerably simple accidental entry, why an adult female fly might specifically enter in a bathroom rather than any other room in your home. Fishing for exactly the kind of standing water and organic offspring require, and a bathroom, with its drains occasional standing water around a tub or sink, and the organic residue that a key traps and drain systems over time represents precisely the environment her searching behavior is specifically evolved to detect and investigate. Understanding that she's searching for a specific resource rather than wandering randomly also explains how she manages to locate your bathroom specifically, often through a genuinely small entry point like a partially open window or a gap around a bathroom vent. A level of targeted navigation that would be difficult to explain if of her presence there were purely accidental. Female drone flies, like many insects searching for suitable egg-laying sites, rely heavily on chemical cues, detecting specific compounds associated with decomposition and stagnant, organically enriched water using sensory structures on their antennae, similar in general principle, though chemically distinct to the chemical detection systems discussed in earlier videos covering ant foraging behavior. Even a relatively small amount of standing water and organic buildup within a bathroom drain, often completely undetectable to human senses, can release detectable chemical cues that drift through gaps around windows, vents, or door frames, providing exactly the kind of directional signal a searching female drone fly is specifically equipped to follow toward its source. This means the specific bathroom she's found her way into isn't a random destination reached through accidental, aimless flight. It's very often the endpoint of a deliberate search, drawn in by chemical cues from precisely the kind of standing water and organic residue her offspring require, a level of targeted behavior considerably more sophisticated than the simple, confused bee, blundered inside narrative most people when they first notice her circling the room. Given the admittedly unglamorous description of where drone fly larvae actually develop, it's worth directly addressing why this insect still deserves protection rather than elimination, since the stagnant water maggot understandably doesn't inspire the same warm reaction as, for example, the pollination role covered in earlier videos discussing bee flies and hummingbird moths. Adult drone flies, despite their unusual larval development, are genuinely significant pollinators in their own right, feeding extensively on nectar and pollen, and as true flies without the specialized pollen-carrying structures many bees possess, still transferring meaningful amounts of pollen between flowers simply through their feeding activity and their frequent, rapid movement between multiple blossoms during a single foraging session. Researchers studying pollinator diversity have specifically documented hoverflies broadly, including drone flies specifically, as the second most significant pollinator group after bees in many surveyed ecosystems, contributing meaningfully to both wild plant reproduction and agricultural crop pollination in regions and seasons where bee activity alone doesn't fully meet pollination demand. There's also genuine ecological value in the larval stage itself, however unappealing it might initially sound. Rat-tailed maggots, by feeding on decomposing organic matter within stagnant water environments, contribute to the breakdown and nutrient cycling of exactly the kind of waste material that would otherwise simply accumulate, playing a small but genuine role in the same broader decomposition and nutrient cycling processes that numerous other insects, fungi, and microorganisms contribute to throughout any given ecosystem, a role considerably less visible or celebrated than pollination, but ecologically meaningful nonetheless. Beyond the question of whether to kill her, there's a genuinely practical piece of information embedded in her presence worth understanding, connecting directly back to the diagnostic approach covered in earlier videos on this channel, discussing how insect behavior can reveal underlying household conditions you weren't otherwise aware of. A drone fly repeatedly appearing in your bathroom, particularly if the pattern recurs over multiple days or weeks rather than representing a single isolated sighting, can serve as a genuinely useful indicator that a drain somewhere in that bathroom has accumulated standing organic residue than routine cleaning has been addressing, since as covered above, her searching behavior is specifically drawn toward exactly this kind of buildup. While a small amount of organic accumulation within a P-trap is entirely normal and not itself a serious plumbing concern, a persistent pattern of fly activity can be a reasonable prompt to more thoroughly clean an affected drain, addressing a minor maintenance issue that, left unaddressed, could eventually contribute to slower drainage or, in more neglected cases, minor odor issues over time. This mirrors a pattern discussed in several earlier videos on this channel, where an insect's presence, rather than representing a problem in itself, functions as a genuinely useful diagnostic signal pointing toward a specific underlying condition worth investigating and addressing directly, considerably more informative than simply reacting to the insect's presence alone without what drew her there in the first place. If you've identified a drone fly in your bathroom and want to respond appropriately, here's a practical approach. Step 1. Confirm the identification using the features covered above, specifically the two-wing count and rounded body shape distinguishing her from an actual bee, ideally through brief, calm observation from a comfortable distance rather than close, sudden approach. Step 2. Simply allow her to leave on her own, or gently guide her toward an open window, recognizing that she poses no sting risk whatsoever, and that her presence, while perhaps unwelcome as an indoor visitor, reflects entirely normal searching behavior rather than any aggressive or threatening intent toward you specifically. Step 3. Purrs repeatedly. Consider it a prompt to more thoroughly clean the bathroom's drains, using a drain brush or an appropriate enzymatic cleaner to remove accumulated organic residue within the P-trap. Addressing the underlying attractant directly rather than simply removing individual flies as they appear, an approach directly consistent with the broader diagnostic philosophy covered this channel regarding insect behavior and household conditions. Step 4. Consider keeping windows fitted with screens if drone fly or similar insect entry becomes a recurring seasonal issue, since as covered above, her typically follows a genuinely targeted chemical search rather than random chance, meaning a physical barrier at the entry point addresses the issue more reliably than attempting to eliminate the chemical cues drawing her in from outside entirely. The insect circling your bathroom, mistaken at first glance, accidentally trapped honeybee, is in reality more specific and considerably more purposeful. A skilled mimic, a genuinely valuable pollinator in her adult stage, and a deliberate searcher draw chemical cues toward exactly the kind of environment or unusual water-adapted offspire, arriving in your bathroom not through random accident, but through a targeted process of environmental detection refined over a very long evolutionary history. Understanding this doesn't just correct a simple case of mistaken identity. It reframes an entire encounter that most people would otherwise dismiss with mild anxiety or fleeting sympathy into something considerably more interesting. A small, precise piece of evidence about the specific conditions inside your own home, communicated by an insect who was never lost at all, simply doing exactly what her biology has equipped her to do. Have you ever found a bee buzzing around your bathroom and assumed it wandered in by accident? Now that you know what she was actually looking for, does it change how you'll respond next time? Tell me about it in the comments below. I read every single one, and sometimes your stories become the subject of the next video. And if you've ever wondered what another small creature quietly living in your home actually knows about your world, I think the next video might surprise you just as much as this one did. Until then, keep watching, keep wondering, and never stop paying attention to the small things.